What up, guys? 7 p.m. Thursday. You already know what it is. The Havana Lounge podcast is live and direct. I'm your man, Mellow Man Ace. Welcome to another adventure. Most definitely, can give a little time for people to come through, get in the chat, and do what they do. I'm really excited about tonight's get down, though. Got my man, the OG legendary man himself, Joe Bataan, is in the place to be tonight. I didn't get the nap in. Didn't get the nap in today. I'm a little sluggish, but we're gonna give you what you need. You know what I mean? Regardless. So welcome everybody. Come on in. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit your like button and the notification bell. I know it's a lot to do, but just do it. I need it. I need you. Peace indeed. Guys, there's a lot going on today. But before I get into that, I just want to thank my sponsors, AV Chevy. When you need to fly Silverado, Corvette, or Tahoe, go see my man Justin at AV for Antelope Valley Chevy. Go see my man Justin and see if you won't get that price adjusted for you, all right? Also, shout out to my man Damon Lee over at Daily Ads. When you want that big billboard on the side of the freeway, the fly bus bench ad for your business or your album, see my man Daily Ads. They are both on Instagram, all right? So that's what it is. Like I said, welcome everybody. I'm your boy Mellow Man Ace. Obviously, this is the Havana Lounge podcast, another Thursday edition. And I'd like to start today by talking about this wine I got right here. And so I'd like to add that this segment of the show is sponsored by AV Chevy. We're talking about wines, people, and this is the commission wine. As you can see, I drank a little bit of it earlier already, but I'm going to pour me another little something. The commission. The commission, for those of you who don't know what the commission is, if you remember, which you haven't heard a lot of lately in the recent past, like 20 to 15 years, you haven't heard much about the mafia, the mob. The commission happened to be the heads of the 5 strongest families in New York, right? And so this Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley, it's a 2019, is a commemorative sort of wine to those mob families, right? To those 5 families. You had the Bonanos, the Colombos, the Lucchese's, the Gambinos, and there was one other one that's drawing my... getting away from me right now. But the commission was the heads of the 5 families. In other words, it was, Paul Castellano, what's his name, over Joseph Colombo, only the top notch of the families, right? And they're the ones who saw over all the families around the country. You had the De Cavalcante family over in New Jersey. You had the Scarfo mob over in Philadelphia. You had the Traficantes over in Florida. And you had Russell Buffalino and the Buffalino family over in, ironically, Buffalo. That's weird, right? But, you know, when I drink the wine, it kind of takes me there. The legs are incredibly long, you know what I'm saying? And it has a hint of black cherry, blackberry or whatever. Blackberry inside that that really fits the bill for a title known as The Commission. And like I said, for those of you who forget how the mob got taken out, there's something that I really love to talk about. If you remember correctly, the Gambino boss, John Gotti, got pinched with surveillance tapes from the FBI upside the Bergen and Hump Fish Club. And upstairs, they wiretapped the apartment where he was having secret conversations with Sammy the Bull Gravano, who would later PC up and drop bombs on John Gotti, and that would, you know, just devastate the Gambino family and the entire mob as we knew it at that time. We're talking about early 90s when this happened. Of course, Sammy the Bull goes on to snitch, right? And if you ask Sammy the Bull, if you watch his podcast, you know that he feels that, you know, because John Gotti wanted him to take the hit for all of John Gotti's aggressions, that's when Sammy tapped out of the mob and he was like, yo, I'm going to save my own ass and tell the feds everything I know. So when I drink this wine, it really takes me there. A side note from that, my guy Ryan Schreier happened to have made the logo, this fly cover for their logo of their wine. So, yo, I'm giving this wine an ace of diamonds. True indeed. The cigar that I'm smoking tonight is a cigar that I happened to take out on the golf course today as I played the Orange County Chamber of Commerce Educational Foundation Tournament. This one right here is a Padron, and it's a 1964. Very nice, handcrafted cigar. It was given to me by a guy named Jose on the golf course. They were in our foursome, a foursome behind us, right? And this is their anniversary series. And I gotta say, I wasn't impressed. I don't know if it was because he gave it to me a week after he bought it. I don't know. But, you know, the cigar, I knew it was going to be a little harsh because of how dark the leaves were. And when I smoked it, I kind of coughed a little bit, which I don't like doing because people think you got the Rona when you cough. Everybody think you got the Rona. So now I'm coughing a little bit, and the other golfers think, you know, what's this guy coughing? He's got the Rona? And for that reason alone, I'm going to go ahead and give that cigar a 9 of clubs. A 9 of clubs. Who knows? Maybe I'll smoke another one later and try it out. Maybe I just got the bad seed. I don't know. But I can't fully endorse it. Guys, this is Mellow Man Ace. This is the Havana Lounge Podcast. You're tuned in live. Everybody in the chat room, how you feeling? Huh? Everybody good? I see people coming through. Yes, indeed. Like I said, we have the legend Joe Bataan is in the house tonight. And we're getting ready to bring on the man. True indeed. So with that said, I'm not going to be talking any sports today. I want to get right to the meat and bones of the situation tonight. It's a lovely situation. I see the fam is coming through. I see Lily is here. I see my man Mark is in the place to be. The twins, as I like to call them, are all here. Danny and Adam, the photographers, everybody's taking their place. And I'm all set to go, even though I didn't get the nap in today. So, that said, people, stay tuned. We're going to come back. We're going to cut to a commercial. Come on back. And 2 and 2. All right? Peace. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you got you a glass of wine. I know I do. Got that blizzy rolled up because the time is now. The man is in effect and in the place to be. Welcome to the Havana Lounge podcast, the legend, Joe Bataan.
Hey.
Make some noise, people. Make some noise. Welcome, my friend.
All right. Yeah.
Joe, this is a goodie bag we prepared for you from our sponsor, AV Chevy. This is for you to take home, sir, and enjoy.
Wow.
All right.
That's nice. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get right into it, OG.
Come with it.
First of all, how long has your career lasted, or including when you first started to play or learn to play?
Wow. Well, before I learned to play, I was singing. Right? We did doo-wop in the streets, in the street corners. And I learned music backwards. A lot of people went to school and studied. I'm self-taught. Right? So I had an incredible ear that I could hear harmony. And we did vocal arrangements, not knowing what we were doing musically. And of course that sound embedded in me and enabled me to arrange music later on in life, after I came out of the joint.
Oh, you was in the joint?
Oh, yeah.
Was you a wild one growing up?
Oh, young, fresh, and wild. Just like my song, Forget It. I was a títere back then, I'm not proud of it, but growing up, my story is similar to a lot of kids that didn't have direction at the time.
Sure, I can understand that. I mean, especially being in NYC, right?
Oh, yeah.
As a young man?
Yeah.
I'm sure, you heard a lot about the mob and the mafia and everything that's going on around you.
We grew up
at that time.
With all that stuff back then, and of course, I just finished my memoirs, and it's called Streetology.
Congrats.
So, it's not published yet, but the idea, it's a sixth sense. It's something that you don't learn from Oxford, Cambridge, or any of the big universities. Mother wit, what you learn from your mom in the streets, So, that's how I conducted my life. And I had to have that extra advantage because I didn't have the advantages of other kids. I didn't finish college or anything like that, and we weren't wealthy. So I had to make do in the struggles,
Now,
life.
we're talking about the 1950s era?
Well, actually, I was born in the 40s, but yeah.
You was born in the 40s, so in the 50s, you're coming up quite the young man there. You're running around. You learn in the streets. You learn in the game. Is this where you picked up your ear for music?
Oh yes, well you got to understand, back in those days, the only thing we were subjected to was Anglo music.
Yeah.
Right? If you had black music, it was at the end of the station, man, where the signal was bad. And if Latin music, forget it. That was on the other end, where you could barely turn it on and hear. So everything that was in the middle had a strong signal, and it was Patti Page, Frank Sinatra. We had tokenism with Nat King Cole, of course. But a lot of those artists I learned from and I imitated. Yeah. That's why I guess my style is in between. And I grew up listening to all that stuff because that's the only thing that was on the radio. So I would get me a hit parade book. Every week I would go to the candy store and I would read the songs and I would sing along with the artists on the radio.
Sure.
Right? So then that's how I was able to develop my writing skills in writing songs. It came to me naturally. But for years we did that. It wasn't until the 50s when Frankie Lyman came along.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes.
Alan Freed, that this new thing came, which was called rock and roll, and we went crazy. They were like Jackson 5 back then. And we never heard guys singing with high voices before, So he was one of my idols. And then came Smokey, and I guess the rest was history. So all of that thing was...
So these are the people that you're absorbing at the time that helped to...
Oh, yeah. And Jackie Robinson.
A baseball player.
Yeah, that was my first dream. I wanted to be a ball player.
Oh, me too.
So he's my idol. And whatever he did, they took me to a ball game. And I saw him play in Evans Field. I said, why are they taking me to this ball game? I don't like no baseball. And then I didn't understand that the section was all minorities. It was all brothers sitting there, one yelling. What the heck are they yelling for?
Yeah.
It was because he was the hero. He had broke the color line.
Sure.
And I didn't understand that until years later. I was about 8, 9 years old. And then when I saw him on them driving those angles crazy.
Yeah.
That was my man.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Absolutely. That's when the Brooklyn Dodgers still played some games over in the Polo Grounds in
Evansville, right.
But they would go over to the Polo Grounds and play over there, right? Against the Giants at that time.
Yeah, just like they do here now.
Yeah.
You know, I try to tell these people when I come here, I say, look, you got the Dodgers, but remember where they came from. They came from New York.
Real talk. And the Giants as well.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Peter Nitollano.
That's not my name.
Who is that?
Somebody wrote that in Wikipedia and they made a mistake.
I'm glad we're fixing that right here, right now.
Peter is my father.
Tell him right there.
Right? Peter is my father. Not well known, Bataan is my first name. Nitollano is my last name. But accident, when I was started to play and came out of prison, I was trying to get work and I was hustling in the street trying to find somebody to let us play. I had a little band, right?
Yeah.
So I made a business card. It said, call Joe, Carmen, or Bataan.
Yeah.
So the guy, he didn't speak much English. He called Federico Pagani, big promoter in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And he took the name and said, oh, Joe Bataan. So when I looked at it, I said, what the heck is wrong with that guy? That ain't my name. Yeah. And then when I started thinking about it, I said, wait a minute. This erased my ugly past.
Yeah.
So it was so funny because when I got to play and after I started to become known, people would come to see me and then they would look and say, I know that guy, man. He punched me in the nose. You know? He said, they said, get out of here. So actually that name changed my life. I was a different person. I was able to erase all that negative thing, right?
Absolutely. Start fresh.
Yeah, so I liked it too.
Yeah. And it's dope. It's a dope name.
The big thing is the bill collectors weren't coming after me. They couldn't find Joe Bataan, you know? When they looked up, they said, well, what's your name? Joe Bataan. They couldn't find nothing on Joe Bataan.
That's right. He got a clean slate.
And that's in my book about speedology.
He got a clean slate. What was it like growing up in Spanish Harlem, right? As a Filipino and black man.
I was a minority.
Absolutely.
People, you know, when I thought about it, Tito Ramos said it from the TNT band. He said, Joe, you were a minority. I said, what do you mean? He says, man, you know, you fitted in. Everybody took for granted that you were Latino because I had to learn the language, you know, growing up there because otherwise you didn't have no friends, you know?
Yeah.
And, cause
not a lot of Filipinos there at that time.
No, they had about one or two. And
you and your brother.
Yeah, they hung up in the club playing Monte, and they're very quiet. Filipinos were reserved. It wasn't until I came to California that I seen a difference with the youth.
Yeah.
You know, they were starting to get it on, like in San Francisco. They were holding down the music.
Facts.
And I was their hero, you know. They said, hey, we got a guy that does rap, you know. It was so funny because you never know the impact you do until years later. Yeah. So sometimes I cry, or I'm a sentimentalist. And I said, wow, look at that. How would anybody know 50 years later that I would still be relevant? Yeah. You know, it's a Cinderella story. You know?
Amazing. Now, true testament to their knowledge of you and also yourself for the perseverance to continue your legacy, you know what I'm saying? And keep playing and staying invigorated by the music.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of dips and valleys and that we go through as musicians.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
When that record fade to black sometimes and I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know which way I want to go.
Yeah, I had a lot of ups and downs with that, but I guess the big boss had his hand on me. He was waiting for me to straighten out and do the right thing. He said, be still. Know that I'm the big boss, you know?
That's
and that you can't do nothing with man. If you don't rely on him, nothing's possible. And I finally realized that, you know, in my twilight. So I read some kind of books, and then I read something very interesting. He said, when he created the world, there was only goodness. You see, and that hit me. He says, there was no bad. Man brought that on. He ate the bread of shame, and that's what happened, right? So that's what I try to do. When I do my music, I try to impart goodness to people. And it's very important about my audience.
Never a question. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We appreciate you. People, you're tuned in to the legend. Joe Bataan is here with the Mellow Man Ace on the Havana Lounge podcast, and I got to tell you, it's an honor, a true blessing. So we're going to keep this thing going. So you raised over 103rd Lexington area?
Yeah, 104th, 103rd. It's all my neighborhood, you know. Yeah. At that time, everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
When you walk down the street, I could walk 2 miles. Everybody know, that was Bataan.
They go Joey.
Well, no, my name wasn't Joe.
It wasn't Joe.
No, that came later on after I became a musician, but everybody knew me as Bataan. It got me in trouble, too, because everybody had nicknames in the neighborhood. You know, Lapi, Pal Carajo, whatever you wanted to say, man.
Right.
And me, I used my own name.
Yeah.
So when the police were looking for us, they caught me right away and said, "We looking for Bataan now." I didn't have no nickname, man. So that was, but the one thing I didn't do is I didn't scar my body, right?
Yeah.
And I learned from streetology that when you scar your body, that's a signal for the police to identify you. You know? They always know, oh yeah,
dropping
he's
gems,
the guy.
people dropping gems.
Yeah, he's the guy that got a scar on his left arm or he got a tattoo here. So, you know, thank
he
God.
got a Cuban flag on his left arm.
Yeah, they get you. They get you, man.
Yeah. No doubt.
I tried.
Tell me this. I'm really intrigued with the 70s Bronx gangs, especially the Ghetto Brothers.
Okay.
For some reason. I watched documentary after documentary on the Ghetto Brothers. Did you know those guys? Karate Charlie and these guys?
I met them later in life when they had these seminars with gangs because I'm supposed to be in old school.
Yeah.
I was way before them. You know, before they had any kind of a semblance of gangs. I was in the Dragons. I ran the Dragons for a while with the Viceroys. And we came out of the 50s.
Right, the OGs.
So those guys came later on.
In the 70s,
you know,
correct.
actually, when we were in gangs, most of our stuff was settled with our hands.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course the shims came in, the lives, the shanks, the chains, and after that the zip guns, and then of course until what you got today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a terrible scene.
Absolutely.
You know? I'm sorry to say that, you know, but
Absolutely.
at that time, if we had a beef, we settled it with our hands. Tomorrow we shook hands.
Yeah.
You can't look forward to that anymore. You know?
No. They're looking to end the party right now.
That's what I'm saying. You know, if you have a beef, you figure they're coming back.
Yeah.
You know,
the retaliation era. Now they want to settle it right then and there.
It's true.
We're gonna get to the bottom line. It's a shame, but that's where we are, people. And you know, we got to do better. We definitely got to do better.
Without a doubt.
Tell me this, Joe. When do you sign your first record deal?
Big story. I can talk a lot, you can see. I got a lot of stories. My first record deal was I was looking to record. I thought it would take me 10 years after I came out of prison because I didn't know how to play music. I knew how to sing. So I said, I'm going to study this piano. I went into a rehearsal with this guy named, whatever his name was, in the band. And he told the guys, he didn't want me there. Now, you don't tell me that. I'm the gangster in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying, who are you talking to me? You know, like Robert De Niro said. He said, no, this is private rehearsal. I said, look, I don't want your music. I came here to listen because I love music. And I went to school with this guy, you know? And so I said, I'm going to leave. And this is exactly my word. I said, when I come back, I'm going to show you. You know, I'm going to show you. I'm going to get a band. I don't know nothing about music. And the guys woke me and I said, Joe, we're sorry. We didn't know he's like that, you know. So that's all right, man. Later for him. I'm going to start a band. And that's exactly what I did. I went and got out anybody that could kick a can or draw a drum. And everybody quit on me because they thought I was crazy. Because I would have them up all night singing or whatever I had to do. And then finally one day I walked into the auditorium and there was a bunch of kids, 12, 13 years old, with a group there trying to play. They had holes in their drums and everything. And of course I was appalled. I said, what are you guys doing here? And they looked at me because they knew my reputation, you know. They didn't say a word. And then I got a brainstorm and said, these kids ain't got no piano player. So I stuck my knife out, stuck it into the baby grand. Nobody said nothing because that was for drama. I didn't plan to hurt nobody, but I was trying to get a message. I stuck it in. Say, hey, I'm the leader of this band. And nobody said nothing. And that's how it started. And then they were looking. I had one big problem. Their mothers didn't want them with me. I was the neighborhood.
You were older.
I was older than them.
Yeah.
And I had to walk them home every night. And I had to promise the parents. I said, look, I'm not the same guy. I'm a different guy. I only want to play music. You know, and they had to watch me closely. That, you know, the kids were with me.
Yeah.
And 6 months, 5 days a week, three hours a day, we shaped that group from not knowing anything. We learned together. and history. People started coming into the auditorium to listen to us. And then one day, the singer was having problems singing in English. He had a heavy accent.
Yeah.
And I said, look, why don't you do it like this? So he got angry. He says, you know so much, why don't you do it yourself? I ain't stopped singing since. You know?
What year was that, Joe?
Oh, 1965.
Get down. Stop that messing around, because Joe Bataan is in town. Truly. My goodness, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
I wasn't even born yet.
Wow.
I'm not born for another 4 years.
Oh, you a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Baby face assassin, baby. Mellow man. You know what I mean? Hey, but no, that's amazing, man. So the parents had to entrust you with these young cats.
I had to bring them home every night, and that's how aggressive I was, because I wasn't going to let nothing stop me. This was my chance to get out. I knew what I wanted to do,
yes,
but I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew you had to have energy. And the guy remarked, he says, I never met a guy like this, Joe Bataan. He had so much energy. They used to hide in the roof when I came around the block.
Damn,
right?
That?
They said, here he comes, man. Let's get out of here, because he's going to make us sing to 6 o'clock in the morning. And I had to laugh, because I never knew that until they told me years later. Right. And they were hiding up in the roof while I said, shit, he's going to buy us a bottle of wine and make us sing to 6 o'clock in the morning. That was amazing.
Amazing, man. Tell me, when I say this name, what comes to mind? Your guy, Papo Felix.
Papo Felix, wow, you brought something out of this woodwork. Papo was a guy that was just hanging around, right? And we needed a singer. That's when I started Ghetto Records.
Yeah.
And they said, well, he can do it, Joe, you know? And I got him to sing on there. The guy had a tremendous voice. He should have had been done more with his voice, just like Hector Lavoe. Yeah. I don't know if you know, Hector Lavoe sang with me after he left Woody Colon.
Is that right?
Yeah, he used to tell me, Joe, I got all these songs. I never paid him mind because I was singing in English, and I was already established, you know?
Yeah.
So, and the same thing happened with Papo, you know? I was so busy into my own thing that I didn't really have time for a lot of people, you know? What's that? Oh, let's be calling.
That's your phone.
Yeah, okay.
That's your phone interrupting the jam.
Somebody said, good. Stop, Joe, you're lying.
No, but you were saying about Papo?
Yeah, Papo did the recording.
Yeah.
He did one song with me also in an album with Puerto Rico Me Llama, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you speak Spanish fluently?
Who?
You.
Well, la cosa es que yo
no,
soy Filipino, africano con un corazón latino.
I get it. I get it.
Spanglish.
Yes. Yes. So do I. So do I, sir. Man, that's dope. So now, what year did you sign with Fania to start off that part of your life?
1966.
So not too long after you had these kids.
6 months later, that was a Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Because they kept saying, "Oh, but Dan, what are we gonna do? We ready? Where you gonna?" I didn't know where to go. Then I saw a guy on the album, and he had made a recording, Boogaloo Blues, Johnny Colon. And I said, I'm gonna call these guys up. And I called the guy. The guy came down. He listened to the band. It was George Golden. I don't know if you know who George Golden. He was responsible for the Chantels. Before Roulette Records, he had started Coty.
Okay.
Yeah, big time with the Chantels, all those big groups. So he came down and he listened to me. He said, I like the band. He said, well, get another singer. He was talking to me.
Yeah.
He said, you tell him.
So did you see your face?
Yeah, he's big time. I would that guy. I said,
yeah.
He says, you sound too sweet. I want to get somebody that yells, screams. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, no. The best thing I did when I told him no. He said, well, that's that. Years later, he came to me and said, I made a big mistake.
Sure.
He says, I would have took you around the world. He says, when I told you that, I regret it for the rest of my life. So, you know,
wow,
that was gratifying to hear that from him. And he was a big man, George Goldman.
Sure, sure. Wow, wow. So now you're starting to track some good music over with Fania. Now, were you at the performance that y'all did that they did at Yankee Stadium?
Another story. All right. The day that they did the Cheetah, before that,
yeah,
he came to me and said, Joe, we're gonna do this show, and I'm going to get all the stars done. So at that time, I was starting to learn about the industry.
Yeah.
I was always an independent guy, and I was looking to move ahead in the industry, right? And once I started learning the craft, I knew that I could produce myself. So, so one day he told me when I was getting my residual, he said, "Joey, here's your money," And I said, "What's that?" He said, "That's what you earned. You sold about 10,000. I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "My albums are all over New York. I had to sell more than that." He said, "Well, that's it. I got to pay Pacheco, I got to pay the Sanabria." I said, "Wait a minute. You got to pay him for what?" "Well, he produces you in the studio." I said, "Do me a favor. I'll produce my own stuff. Give me that money." Yeah. He said, "Well, I got to pay the guy for the artwork." I said, "Stop. I'll get somebody to do the artwork." He said, "Yeah, but these guys," said, "I'm telling you, if that's how this thing goes, let me do that and give me the money." So that's how I got into be independent, started learning this business. So I was selling records in the street out of the trunk of a car before all these rappers even knew about that. I knew about merchandising. I put them records in the store. I would go to the stores and I said, "Joe, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm selling these records, man. I will make sure." So I started learning the retail prices. And then I started learning about the industry and how to market records, because I was one of the first guys that went to the radio stations. Artists weren't allowed to go to the radio station because of payola. Right? But I did all that because I wanted to learn the business, and I got pretty good at it. I was the first to break records without the radio, right? Because I walked into this club back down in New York, and I saw these kids dancing. Wow, what the heck is this? And then it dawned on me, I said, "Man, these are discotheques," but they weren't called discos back then, right? Yeah. So I would bring my test pressings for them to play, and I would test it out of the kids. Yeah. And that's how I learned. I said, don't rely on what you like, rely on these kids. Because if they like it, you got a shot. And that's what I did. That's part of my secret.
Guys, you're hearing the legend tell you the lessons, right here, right now, the Havana Lounge podcast. We're going to take a small break, and then we will be right back with Mr. Joe Bataan. I'm your boy, Mellow Man Ace. Keep it locked. Go to the fridge, get something cold, go get that blizzy. Come on back in 2 and 2. We'll be right here. Peace. Guys, welcome back. I'm your boy Mellow Man Ace. That is the triple OG Joe Bataan in the place to be. Joe, so tell me, man. You tell the label head this now. Give me the money for that. Give me the money for this, and you actually get it all done.
Yeah, well, it started me on to being independent, but it didn't stop there. Of course, in 1968, I was voted the Band of the Year in New York. Out, Sol Puente, Tito, everybody 4-1.
Yeah.
And I got the gold record for the riot. And then I started, well, maybe I got, a little too beefy in my percentage, but I understood that I was worth something and I should be paid. So one day I was in the streets and I got a flat tire, right? And I didn't have the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I said, no, this ain't right. Everybody knows me in the street, I'm joking. I can't even pay for this flat tire, so I got angry. Went back up to him and said, look, man, I want this. And I don't know if you know baseball. Back in the days, there were 2 pitchers in the Dodgers called Koufax and Drysdale.
Facts.
And what they did is they told the Brooklyn Dodgers, we ain't pitching unless we get a contract. So I learned from that.
Yeah.
I went right up to that record company and I said, look, I got to get paid. He said, oh, that's all I got. I said, shh, I ain't recording. I held out for a year.
With Fania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he got the disc jockey to beg me to come back, gave me some money. I got me a co-op. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And it worked. But the lawyer had told me, he says, Joe, when you worth something, they're going to listen. If you ain't doing nothing, ain't nobody going to pay you mine. And that was my shot.
Yeah.
Right? So that goes into effect even today. If you're relevant, people are going to listen. But let me be unrelevant. Nobody listen. You only remember the last thing you did. Right?
Yeah.
So I had to learn about that because I've had up and downs where nobody knew me for a while. And I saw Joan Rivers on TV. And she said, my book is empty. She says, I had to reinvent myself. So in the 90s, I reinvented myself. Right? A guy was telling me, you go on the computer, Joe? I said, what the heck is that? I don't remember no computer.
Yeah.
And I'm on the computer every day now. I was able to travel all over the world. When I tell you I've been to Australia, Shanghai, you name it. Never in my wildest imagination would I have thought I would have been doing all that travel. I travel more now than I did when I first started, right? And it was all because of social media and the context. So I learned something. I said, wow, you got to keep your name relevant, right? Because people don't remember, so you got to help them to remember. So I started learning about Facebook. I forgot the first one that they had.
MySpace?
Yeah, MySpace.
Yeah.
So when I learned about that, man, I was on that 24/7, man. And then my kids were telling me about TikTok too. I said, look, put me on that too. I don't care what it is,
Yeah.
And it makes you relevant, And especially if you're playing.
Yeah.
So thank God, I'm still playing. I come out here, I go around the world. And people are amazed. Some people say, I thought he was dead. He's still around. And then they're amazed when they see me on stage because when I went to South America, I was getting off the plane and they stopped me and called me and said, wait, ¿Quién eres tú? He said, yo soy Joe Bataan. He said, get out of here, man. You got to be his son. I said, I'm Joe Bataan. So they made me sing. This is no lie. He said, mira, cántame una canción. I said, what? So they pick a song I had sung in 30 years, man. They picked a riot.
Yeah.
I sang the song, and they said, okay, let him come in the country.
Is that right?
I'm telling you, man, because they didn't believe that I was Joe Bataan. He said, we expected him to come out here with a walking cane, And thank God, God has kept me going, And then for your information, I had 3 heart attacks, 2 strokes. I beat cancer. I had Hep C, right? Did time in prison. And for the grace of God, it ain't nobody else but him guiding me because he wants me to give his message. Just like he told Paul, he said, why you keep running away from me? I got something for you to do. I really believe that.
Yeah.
So every time I get a chance, and any show I do the Lord's Prayer. So whether it's my opening.
Yeah, I saw you do that on stage the other night.
Yeah. And my biggest moment was like at the Gibson and the Shine Theater when I did it, 17,000 people. And I asked them to light up their cell phones.
Yeah.
Beautiful moment when I did the prayer. To see 17,000 people sing with you. And that was not even my hit song. Now it's become one of my most popular songs.
Get down. Get down. You still didn't tell me what happened there at the big Yankee Stadium gig.
Oh, yeah, I'm like that.
Okay.
What happened was, he wanted me to play the cheetah in the Yankee State, but he didn't want to pay nobody. He said, oh yeah, everybody's doing the triple. I said, you must be mad. I said, why should I do that? I want to get paid. We ain't paying nobody, and everybody's doing the favor. I said, no. So people said I made a big mistake, you know, by not doing. That's why I wasn't included.
Yeah.
And I wasn't included.
So you're telling me 60,000 and nobody got paid?
They did it.
Yo, that's foul, man.
You gotta understand that most of the musicians at that time, and I don't want to say that they were just naive, right? I mean, I read the book Clive Davis' Business of Music, so I was well versed about publishing and different things that these guys had no idea that exist. All they wanted to do was be in the limelight.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a shame, because a lot of those musicians never pursued their education in anything else, so they had nothing to fall back on. So you know that you do music, you can starve, right? If you ain't got no gigs, you're gonna starve. So what are you gonna do, right? You can't go teach. You ain't got no degree. You ain't got this, right? So you know, I was lucky. I had civil service, and I got a job as I was tour commander at a juvenile prison.
Okay.
Right, so I was able to give back to the kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I did that for 25 years, so that took care of my family.
Tell me this. Who is one of your favorite people that you ever performed with?
Wow.
That you said,
yeah,
that motherfucker right there got some talent right there.
Yeah, Gladys Knight was one. I did so many. You know, James Brown, even though we had our falling out, but he was a terrific entertainer, you know.
Sure.
But there was something that I'd never played with that I really love. Smokey is the greatest. The greatest
Smokey
writer.
Robinson.
Yeah. That boy is a lyricist.
Crazy.
Yeah, what did they look? He was doing some of the stuff that I was doing, and he didn't even know. All them songs he did with Mary Wells back in the days, those were cha-chas.
Yeah.
You see, but people didn't know. But I knew, because I could dance a step, and I said, oh, that's the secret. And Mary Wells, a cha-cha. You know, and then when I brought it to Latin soul and boogaloo, that was right down my alley. You know, singing in English, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, so but it was new to a lot of other people. You know?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not Frank Sinatra, I'm not James Brown. So I got in through being Latin soul. You see, because it was called boogaloo, but that was bubblegum, that name. I knew that wasn't going to last.
Yeah.
I said, but if I change it to Latin soul, that'll always be synonymous throughout life. Because soul ain't going to die, and Latin ain't going to die. You know? And that's how I got my
visionary. Visionary. Man had much foresight. Tell me, Joe, what's up with Salsoul Records?
That's another story.
Okay, let's get into it.
When I left Fania, finally I got my release after 2-3 years fighting with him.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. So I was lost again. It's like, you know, wow, that's the only place I knew. That was my home for how many years?
Yeah.
So I looked in the trade papers like I always do, and I saw this company dealing with Mexican cutouts. And that means records that weren't relevant anymore and they sold. And I went there, and these guys were Syrian Jews, and they had a company, but they didn't know anything about music. And I told them, look, I came here and I want to do a deal to record. He says, why you come to us? You're pretty popular. I said, look, I want to do my own thing. This is what I want to do, and I need some money and I'll record it. So they took a chance. They said, okay, here. I went to record the album, and we brought it back. He said, Joe, we don't know what to do with this. What do you do? So you got to get it played on the radio. He said, okay, can you help us? I said, yeah. Took the record, brought it up to this DJ who was famous back then named Frankie Crocker.
Oh, yes.
And Frankie, you don't walk up on stations with no record, but I did. He said, yeah, what you want? I said, I'm trying to get my record played, Frankie, you know, and he said, who's your distributor? I said, I didn't even know. He said, okay, leave it there on the table. I said, oh, shit, this guy ain't even going to play. He didn't give me time of day, and I dropped the record, went downstairs to the car with the guy. What happened? I said, he took the record and threw it on the table. Yeah? So he turned on the radio. He was playing the whole album. We almost fell on the floor, man, because you don't understand. This is like a dream come true.
Oh, I do understand.
Okay, well, you know what I mean.
Music game.
And I'm saying, whoa. Not only did he play one song, he played the whole doggone album.
Amazing.
He started. Joe Bataan was back again.
Yeah.
Each time they said, we thought this guy was going to die out. I kept
Now this is
coming
after
back.
you had retired for a while, right? Or was that before?
No, this is right after Fania. You maybe a couple of years.
Okay.
I had a lot of spaces in between, but always came back.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what they the guys used to say. Damn, because even when I did the rap record, they were throwing me out. The companies, what the hell is that shit, Joe? Get the hell out of here with that, man.
You know about the Rapo Clapo?
Yeah, he said, you don't sing no more? I said, this is something new, man, I'm telling you. I said, what? I said, get that junk out of here. He said, come back when you sing. So finally I went to one guy and I played the record and there was a young kid in there spinning records, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know who he was. So I played it and they said, oh, we want this young kid to listen. I said, what? You know, young kid to listen to my music. And told me, son, he said, yeah, but we trust what he says. I said, well, who the hell is? So the kid listened. Turned out to be Larry Levan. You ever heard Larry Levan? He's the #1 DJ of the world. And the young kid, and he plays my record. He says, he starts jumping up, and I'm looking at him. So what the heck's wrong with him? He said, give me this record. Give me this record. I'm going to play in the garage. I never heard of the garage, but anybody used to go to this club.
Yeah.
And anything this guy played there, gold. He took my record, played it in the club. The first week we sold 20,000 records, not on the radio. And we knew we were on our way. Then the next thing I know, they were calling me to Europe.
For Rapo Clapo?
Yeah, man, that's another story.
Hold on. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I got to pull it up. I got to pull it up. Let's see, right after this commercial right here is running. I'm gonna try to play it for you people. Here we go, check it out. A few bars. Okay, that's enough because I'll get demonetized and we won't eat. But that's what it is. The Rapo Clapo, absolutely, man. So that put you right back in the game.
Oh, man, it took me to another side of the world.
Get down.
They expect Joe Bataan to do any rap. I was no rapper.
Yeah.
But what happened was there's two kids named Jekyll and Hyde, right?
Oh,
they were
absolutely.
spinning. And I got the idea and I told them, hey, man, we want to record because nobody knew what it was. There was no name for rap music back then.
Yeah.
Right? All they were doing was clapping, stomping their feet, and spinning records. I said, oh, man, if they ever hear this, it's going to be big. There was 1,000 kids and they pay $1 jumping around. So I told them, and they were supposed to come to the studio. So they didn't know who I was. They said, oh. So I rented the studio. I put the music down. They never showed up. They were playing a bomb on Joe Bataan. They said, they ain't going to do nothing for this guy, right?
Yeah.
So I said, oh, man, what the hell am I going to do? I got to pay these people for the studio and all this stuff. And then I always had young kids with me, right? And I said, shit, I could do this. You know, and I started looking at it, I said, new thing God gonna make a shot. God rhythm, God beat, gonna move your feet, and then the kids started going. You know, and I said, whoa, you know, and then I started putting the hand clapping in there, and I put this, I forget, synthesizer, and they couldn't keep still. And then I played that, and that's what Larry Levan heard.
Yeah.
And then when the Salsoul heard that, they said, Larry Levan liked it? His name was God, right? I didn't know who the heck he was.
Yeah.
And then he said, we'll take it and we'll put it out for you, Joe, but we don't got no money. I said, wait a minute. He says, I'll release it right now. So I said, man, I'm going to lose this because now I was going to be the first rap artist to be on the radio.
Yeah.
But Sugar Hill came out and everybody was getting excited. Now I'm sitting with this record. I said, oh man, I got to get it out now before my record ain't relevant.
Yeah.
So he took it and he says, I'll give you $1. We'll sign the contract. So the one brainstorm that I had was when we signed the contract, I wrote on the bottom, you can't make any deals any place but the United States. And that was God-given because that record went to #1, #2 all over Europe. I am credited being the first to bring rap music to Europe. And that didn't stop because I brought it to South America and they called me the parakeet, right? And they had never heard anything like that, and forget it, the rest was history.
This is late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
You're referring to, yeah? Absolutely, man. This is amazing. Definitely a history lesson here tonight. The gems are flying left and right. You got to duck, and you know, you got to duck, you're going to get hit with a lesson. That's just what it is. The legendary, the triple OG, Joe Bataan is in the place to be. And it's quite an amazing ride tonight. Make some noise, guys. Make some noise. So, Joe, man, you've done so much, you've accomplished so much. Tell me something, because we call my son around the house, we call him Papo. Sometimes we'll clown him and we'll say Papo Luca.
Oh, okay.
Because he plays the keys and other things.
Okay.
Did you ever play with Papo Luca?
I might have, don't even know.
Okay.
You gotta understand, me growing up, I was like ahead of my time. I was thrown in the limelight before I knew anything. You know, here I'm sitting up to Puente and Eddie Palmieri and all these guys, and I could barely play. But the thing is, I could sing.
Yeah.
You see, the brainstorm that Joe Bataan did to this day was that I never called my band anything else but Joe Bataan.
Yeah.
So you got all these groups that are fighting each other when they die. I own the name. I'm this one.
Yeah.
There ain't no other Joe Bataan. There's only me.
Yeah.
So when I go, Joe Bataan is going with me.
And the Harlemites.
No, none of that. None of that. It's always Joe Bataan, right? And that was the best thing that I ever did because I studied the history.
Yeah.
I see all these groups from the Supremes to the Delphonics to Blue Magic. They got 20 different groups fighting each other, killing each other.
Yeah, some guys will stop performing early when they still have 20 years left at least. And one guy's fighting and taking away the name. Yeah. And then the rest of the guys got to call themselves some abstract other version of what they used to be. That's terrible when I see that.
Yeah, no. And then the law is, if you were in the group, you can retain the name until you get it legally. But if you were part of that group, you can keep using that name. That's why a lot of them, you see, there's 3 Delphonics, 4 Blue Magics, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. Some of the other groups are having some problems, you know, especially in the West Coast, you know?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I've seen 2 different versions of Cameo and later on some funk bands.
A guy called me one day and said, "Hey, Joe, I want you to play with us." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm in the Delphonics." I said, "How old are you?" He said, 21. 21? I can't believe you are 21 years old.
You might be in the little low Delphonics. You know what I mean? Absolutely. One time I saw there were 2 Lakesides, and I went to the shows of both of them, and there was one without the lead singer, Mark Woods, and there was one without.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, man, I mean, I love both shows, but without, I got to have Mark Woods.
Yeah.
And I got to have Mark Woods doing the vocals when it's Lakeside.
Yeah, those are the purists that know their music.
Oh, come on.
You know what I mean? That's what they want. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You know, I was telling you when you got here, my absolute favorite joint, and I love a lot of your work, but my favorite joint is Call My Name. You know what I mean? It just comes in, it lands on the one, Jack. You feel me?
Yeah, it's so funny.
It gets me there every time, man. I can play that record 30 times in a row in the car. I can start at home and go to Angel Stadium and still bump that all the way there.
That record had a breakout in Europe. The kid came to me one day. I'm playing at SOBs, and he steps up to me and says, "Hey Joe, I want to record you." A young kid. I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, okay. You pay me, I'll come and record." So people don't know it was Dat Tone Studios, which is the one where Amy Winehouse, Sharon Jones, and Joe Bataan recorded. It's in the basement. Analog stuff, right? So he brings me down. I go down to Brooklyn, and I told him, I said, "All right, I'll do it, but I got to write half of the songs." So I guess he had other ideas. He wrote all the songs when I got it, but he paid me.
Yeah.
And I sang these songs. So he had learned my style. For some reason, he's part Filipino.
Yeah.
And he arranged the songs so that it would be my style. He didn't even tell me the damn key. And I sang the songs there. So he says, "I don't know what to do with it." So I saw this guy in Spain called Vampy Soul Records was releasing Fania stuff. I said, "Well, call this guy," you know?
Yeah.
And he called the guy and he said, "You got Joe Bataan on there?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, I'll take the record." The next was history. That day, I mean, I hadn't done anything for a while.
Yeah.
I must have did 400 interviews that year on Call My Name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope as hell.
And then it was vinyl. You know, like the analog sound.
No, that's a fire record to this day. I was waiting for you to play it the other night. Remember, you were on stage and you say, "I'm gonna take a request," and I'm back there yelling, "Call my name, Joe!" Goddamn, you know what I mean? I'm back there yelling. I don't think you heard me because they had me situated in a funky little area.
Yeah, you know
I got there a little late. Okay, all love, but I'm yelling. You're asking. I'm shouting. And you didn't play. You went into something else that somebody in the front said, and I forgave you off the top.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But you know what it is? All through my life, wherever I go, every country has a different favorite.
Sure.
So I go to England, they want to hit a bottle. I go to Japan, they want Ordinary Guy, but I did Ordinary Guy 7 different times, 7 different ways. Spanish, cha-cha, mambo, I mean, slow. So they like the fast bossa nova version. I go to Colombia, South America, it's a riot, you know? California, it's my car. Yeah. So I have to situate the band on what I play is relevant, you know what I mean? Certain songs I can't leave unless I do it in a certain country, you know?
Yeah.
But to call my name, I'll get to it, I'll do it.
Yeah, I definitely gotta, I gotta hear you do that live, man. I might fuck around and jump on the motherfucking percussion out this motherfucker. You know, out there hitting with a cowbell and stuff. Joe, let me play with you, man. You know what I mean? That's crazy. That's amazing, OG. It's amazing to have you here with us telling these stories. Guys, we're going to take one last break and we'll come back with the Triple OG. I'm Mellow Man H. That is Joe Bataan, the one and only. 2 and 2. Welcome back, Mellow Man Ace with Triple OG, Joe Bataan in the place to be. I don't know what else to ask this man that without sounding like a fanboy out here. But Joe, I want you to take some time to just talk about what you want to talk about. Any projects you might have been working on, cooking up in the kitchen right now, and when they might drop.
Well, you know, the book is my most important thing, because after learning what I did in the music industry, I don't want to make the same mistakes with the book. Right? Okay. So certain things I got to learn. I've been writing this for 20 years, but it was only in the last, when I got sick, that's why I better finish this book now, you know. So I did it, and then, you know, I didn't know the routes to getting it published, the ropes, you know.
Yeah.
I've been asking around, you know. But then again, I realized, I said, you know what? The big boss is telling me that I haven't finished. You see? Because I read somewhere it says, oh, here comes another biography, a guy talking about his life. I don't want to be that. I want to leave an impact in the book. So when I wrote about it, the story is interesting, and you got to know how to write, you know? And I try to talk the same way I'm talking to you now.
Yeah.
Because they edited it and they put that academia in there, which I'm not too fond of.
Yeah.
But I said everything else, but I left out the final chapter. And that's the big boss. What he did for me. I mean, there's no reason why I survived all those sickness, all those things near death, and still here relevant, and still jumping on the stage thinking I'm 22, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be something more than life itself. So I know I got to put that in the book, because when kids read that book, they're going to see hope, that there's a way that you don't have to give up, right? They're going to see my energy and what I did, how I came out of prison, and all the things that I went through, that there was still hope if you love what you want to do and you have a passion, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but I also want them to know the spiritual side, that none of that is not going to happen. You're not going to be happy in life. You can sell drugs and make a ton of money, but you notice that it always ends in a tragedy. And a guy said to me, he said, Joe, don't you see how they portray our heroes? They put them as drug addicts, gangsters, and they always die these violent deaths and stuff like that. You know, every time they make these movies. He said, your story ain't going to be a tragedy. And I said, wow. He says, because when you say the big boss says, be still and know that I'm God, that's a period. Ain't no more to say. Right? And that's what I got to project in that book, at that final chapter, that when a kid reads my book, and he reads all of that, and he's interested in it, that he understands the final lesson and the journey, and where it took me, right? Because if I don't leave something of goodness from the big boss, then I did. The book don't mean nothing. My life don't mean nothing, you know? So that's my dream.
That's what's up. Well, I'm happy to say it's not over yet. You know, I saw you on stage the other night acting like you're 22. I saw that. Now, you told me early on in the interview that you had 3 heart attacks, right? And 2 strokes. 2 strokes. Mm-hmm. And you've lost no motor skills. You're still very sharp. How old are you, OG?
I'm 78.
78. You're my mother's age, OG. Mm-hmm. I just want to say I uplift you. I continue to support whatever you do. I'm going to send my most positive energy to you every time, wherever you may be in the world. I want you to know that my people love you. The people out there love you. We continue to come to these shows because you continue to bring it. Mm-hmm. And for that, we're forever grateful. Anything else you wanted to talk about? We have the book. Any new music you might be working on?
Yeah, I'm doing some recording this week. So a couple of
doing
things
a little
that
tracking?
I wanted to do. Yeah. I recorded a song in 1970 that they threw in the garbage, right? And I wrote this up, and I was always trying to write songs that nobody else did, because in the old days, I used to write in a certain way that nobody could copy my songs. You know, somebody hear it, oh, they don't know what I was trying to do. I used modulations. I wouldn't do the conventional A, B, A like all songs in. I would do A, Z, back to G, and it confused you. So you could copy my song.
Yeah.
So I wrote a song, and it was called A Drug Story, right? And I timed the record so that it would end exactly when the youngster overdosed, right? And it's called 3 Minutes to Hell, but it was a drug story. But it wasn't bad. It was telling you a story what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Right? And it goes through his funeral, and his mother's there saying, gee, it's my bundle of joy. I don't know why he went that way, you know? And he's actually cabling from hell, right? Sending a telegram to the world about what he did. And you got to picture this song, and he's on the bed. And I don't know if you ever have any experience. He's paralyzed from the dope, from the drugs, where you got so high that you can't move, and a fly is circling his bed. And you know how bothersome that is because you can't swat it.
Yeah.
You paralyzed. You're ready to go out. So I projected this in the song. I thought it was like genius of me. They threw it in the garbage. I said, Joe, man, you don't want to do that. I said, what do you mean? I said, he says, you don't want to be known by that. I said, man, I didn't say nothing wrong. I said, this is something relative. You know, this happens, you know?
Yeah.
So all those years, the thing was in the garbage can. Somebody found it.
Yeah.
And they brought it back to me. So I want to release that now.
There was a rapper recently. His name was Havana's guy, the overdose. Mac Miller. A rapper by the name of Mac Miller who overdosed a year and a half ago, 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right? And that kind of reminded me of what happened to this kid. So I salute you. I hope you can bring the record back to life and save some lives out there.
Yeah, that was my idea. Because now, when you think about it, I wrote it in 1970.
Yeah.
You know, and this guy found it in a garbage can. They had threw the tapes away, and he brought it to me. You know, and I've held it all this time. You know, and I said, well, now is about the time to put it, because look, Amy Winehouse came with Rehab. You know, James Bond did Father Heroin, and I said, man, and I even see the video how it could be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those are some of the most impactful records. I've done those where I can almost already see what the video is going to look like.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but it's still for your own self. I wouldn't say legacy, but for your own tranquilidad, para dormir bien. You gotta put it out. You gotta give it to them. Yeah.
No, definitely, because it's another side. I haven't touched all the things, because when you get older, you stop having that imagination. When I was young, and things would come to me like, you know, water, you know, and creating things, you know. So, but as you get older and you get a family and you got other things, you don't have that creativity that you had probably when you're young. But if you do get a brainstorm, you got to grab it, you know, because,
absolutely,
you know, when we get older, things start leaving us.
Facts. I myself have had one heart attack.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, a little bit. A little bit. I don't want to have another one.
No.
You know what I mean? But I do. No, I'm gonna die on my feet, baby, with a cohiba in my hand. Amen to that, people. Joe, does music to you have the same that to you personally that it used to have? Like, are you still excited to get up and track and you
when
know
I
what I mean?
get on stage, yes.
Yeah.
But that got to do with the audience. You know, audiences are different all over the world. And one time I was playing in Germany, and a bunch of older people there, and the audience was just sitting there. And I said, oh my God, how am I going to get these people to get out of their chair? And for some reason, I just reached down, and they didn't get up out of their chairs, but they started stomping their feet. Now, I didn't know what that meant. That was like a standing ovation, right? Okay. That's how the Germans did it. And I said, the guy said, man, Joe, you didn't know what you did? I said, what? He said, man, they were giving you a standing ovation, but they were stomping it. I said, get out of here, man. So that was a gratifying, you know, and when things like that happen, it revives it. Because when I get on stage, I forget about my age. I forget about my energy. I'm in another world. Fact. Because I'm there to entertain. Yep. Right? And I don't tolerate anybody in back of me that just want to play. You don't just play music. You got to entertain. Anybody can be a good musician, right? But you want to make them people be happy when they leave. That's right. With that door. And if you haven't done that, you failed. You failed. You got to know the secret. See, because there's a pulse that everybody understands a word. So you got to find that pulse that makes everybody get up, right? No matter what their culture is or what they like, right? They could be listening to something so foreign to you, but if you find that pulse to make them get up, then you got a little magic in you.
Facts. I try to feel that pulse every time before I go on. True indeed, and I know what you mean by that. You could be in a real gangster party, and you'd be like, man, some real gangsters.
I know what you mean.
And you could still, and then you find something to get them in one accord. And I think that's one of the main qualities of a true party rocker. You know, somebody that can that can come alive, make you forget your problems, because at the same time you're making me forget mine. You know, when I'm on stage, I don't think about the bills. I don't think about which car needs gas. Do I gotta take out the trash when I get home? That bullshit somebody told me 3 weeks ago. None of that. None of that.
They told me I'm a different guy. You know, they said, "Oh, Joe, he changes, man. Watch him." You know. He said, "No, because I'm getting ready. I know what's at stake. People don't know what's at stake when you got to perform. I prepare maybe a day before. You ain't even talk to me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I said, don't bother me right now. I got to do something." You know, so they, "Oh, I want to talk about this." Come on, it's not even relative, man. You don't even understand what is in front of me, what I got to do with that audience. I don't want to leave here unhappy that I didn't do my job. And knock wood, I've been very successful, you know. And I said, wow, gee, you know. And the highlight was when a guy called me from the Smithsonian, Chicano. And he said, "Hey, Joe, man, we want to honor you in the Smithsonian." I said, "What, you talking to me?"
Yeah.
I said, "From Harlem?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "For what?" He said, "Man," he said, "you're a bridge." I said, "A bridge is to cultures. So you bridge to the Latino market, you know?" So I said, "Okay, you want to do that, you know?"
Yeah.
So he invited me, and then he called me up the next week and says, "Joe, we got a problem." I said, "What?" He said, "The Asians heard that we're going to do this for you." And they said, "Wait a minute, he's part Filipino. We want a piece of this." And he says, "We want to be there with the Latinos, you know?"
Yeah.
He said, "Okay, so you got two people." So then he called me up the next week. He says, "Got another problem." I said, "What?" He said, "African American." I said, "Hey, he's part black, man. His mother's from Newport News, man. We want to be in there." So I was honored by those three cultures. And when you think about it, that's 3/4 of the world. You understand? Those three cultures. Latinos, right? African Americans, and Asians. If you got that part of the world, you got a big chunk.
Yes, sir.
Right? So that's why my record was relevant. Didn't know it at the time. Young, Gifted, and Brown.
Yeah.
Right? So they had Young, Gifted, and Black. They had the Average Band. But I said, you know what? Let me get in the middle of this, in the Brown. So I didn't realize 30 years that people were going to take to that song.
Yeah.
You know? The Brown Berets, the Yellow Seed, all of them. You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm pretty proud of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know what else I could ask this man that, you know, is just going to get me a better reply than the ones I'm getting. But tell me this before I let you go, before I cut you loose.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a couple of names here, and then you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, okay? Willie Bobo.
Willie Bobo was a pioneer out here on the West Coast. I know his history from New York and what he did as a kid. Hearing his name, I just wanted to study because I didn't know anything about Latin music and what he was doing. So he was touching on to Latin soul back then, you know, and he brought it out to the West Coast. So he's a pioneer. He's one of the pioneers of bringing that sound out here to the West Coast.
Good deal. The next one is Rudy Salas.
Rudy Salas. It's a funny story. That's another funny story. Rudy Salas, I came here and I was sort of like established in California a little. And I went to the auditorium and these guys were playing on stage, young kids, right? And they had two trombones. I never forget, and they were brothers. At that time, I didn't know they were brothers. And I said, wow, that group sounds pretty good, man. I could take them to New York. I was ahead of my time. So I talked to them because they were arrogant back then. They were little gangsters, man. And they didn't want to hear nothing from some other guy there. Because actually, a lot of people were jealous of Joe Bataan when I first came here. Because they said, who the hell is this guy? He comes from New York, man. And all these Chicanos, they love him. They want to go. You know, so there was like a little envy, you know. And so I thought that I would take them to New York because just like the rappers, they didn't believe in me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got them to go to New York, and we were supposed to make them sing, record that song together.
Yeah.
Because they played a bomb too, and they went and got in touch with Clyde Davis, and the rest was history. They became big.
Yeah.
But that's the story I know about Rudy. Rudy's a talented guy. I knew them when I thought there was three brothers. You know, I'm confused. Just like the Midnighters. When I played with them, I was taller than all of them. So I don't know who these guys that they talk about the Midnighters now. You know, but me and Rob used to laugh. So I got these kids. They could play anything behind you. It was the Midnighters. You know.
Crazy. Oh man, okay, one more maybe. Celia Cruz.
Celia Cruz was the queen. She came later, of course. She didn't like to fly, and she had this impact that everybody loved her. Because you got to understand, before the only one that we had in Latin music was La Lupe, you know, and she was wild on that stage, and she drew attention to everybody. But after Celia came, she became the queen. She just took it over. There's something about her labia and the way she inspired with her songs. She had that same gift like Cheo Feliciano had, you know, that they could rap about anything. Hector Lavoe had it, you know. They could just pick up a word. I mean, it's a funny story about Hector. Of course, I didn't understand a lot of Spanish, right? And he was sitting on stage. He said, Joey, I want to sing with you. I said, what do you call on? He said, I want to sing with you. Right? But I was already popular, so I used him to sing the Spanish song.
Yeah.
So he would sing up there on the stage, and I didn't know what the heck he was saying, but he was insulting the people in the audience. He was telling, we're going to take your wives after we finish the dance, and he rhymed that stuff, right? I didn't know what he was saying. He said, and you fat, and your women's are all going to take, or whatever he said. The next thing I knew, they were throwing pianos at us and chasing us down the street. We were whole ass with our instruments running, and when I got there, I said, what the hell did he say? Joe, man, he was insulting, but that was his style. I never knew. The heck, they used to do that a lot, you know? Yeah. And he was a funny guy, boy. We had some funny times with balloon fights in the hotels. And just like little kids, man. Water fights and stuff. Threw us out the hotel.
We won't get into all those. Yeah. We won't get into all your little shenanigans. OG. Guys, this is the Havana Lounge podcast. You're chilling with the quadruple OG. Joe Bataan is here with us tonight. And young man, I think I'm good. I want to thank you, sir, for coming through, blessing us with your presence, your stories, your life.
Well, I want to thank you for having me. God bless you. It's always a pleasure. Like they say, you can never get enough press. You know, so don't think that I wouldn't come here. You know, and then when I heard it was you, I didn't want to miss this opportunity.
Get down. Stop that messing around. And by the way, I think I got invited to your studio session tomorrow. So if you need a rapper, I'm bringing my pencil.
All right, yeah.
Okay, so just in case, I will be there. I want to shout out my man Rocky Padilla for setting these things up like this. It's beautiful. I appreciate that, brother, very much. Guys, I'm Mellow Man Ace. That has been Joe Bataan. This has been the Havana Lounge podcast. Tune in next week. I'm not going to tell you exactly who my guest is going to be, but he said I'm waiting. Okay, and but as we always do right about this time, remember that in the great words of the great Curtis Mayfield, that your dream is your only scheme. So keep on pushing and move on up. I'm Mellow Man Ace for Joe Bataan. We out of this. Hey!